All right, good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get the June 6, 2024 Kenner Council meeting to order. It's my wife's birthday tonight, so we've got to get out of here quick so I can get home, so she's not too mad at me. Happy birthday, Virginia. She's probably not watching, though. Okay, any special intentions tonight before we begin? Deputy CEO Natalie Newton.
I'd like to ask everyone to keep in their prayers the assistant for Amy and I, Miss Tracy Bro, who is in intensive care, suffering from some complications from a medical procedure. She could really use everyone's prayers.
Okay. Absolutely. Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also ask that you keep Adam Cawthorn, who was laid to rest this past weekend. Please keep him and his family in your prayers. Thank you.
Chief Conley.
Yeah, this morning, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office had an officer that was injured, shot in the line of duty. He's in stable condition, serious but stable condition in Baton Rouge. I ask that you keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well.
Thank you. I have one too. Funeral was today of Vincent Calinato Sr. He's a Kenner resident. Many people don't know that because his restaurant's been in Metairie for 35 years. He lived off of Vintage. Very good family friend of mine. I haven't taken a loss like this in a very long time. He did a lot for a lot of people. His funeral was out the door at Lake Lawn today. The repast, the restaurant party, it was full of great Italian food like always. It was a phenomenal thing for him. If you knew Vincent over the years, he was a man who helped people, and he was also just a fun guy to be around, and he would stop at nothing to aggravate people he loved. And that's the kind of people I like being around. So pray for the whole Catalinato family and their impact in the whole Kenner and Metairie community with all the great food and memories over the years. And thank you, Vincent. Anybody else? Councilwoman D. Duncan, lead us in the prayer, please. I'm going to ask Chief Terrence Morris to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. We have a quorum this evening. Next up, we have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, and department heads.
Pursuant to council rule, we have Senator Kirk Talbot here with us tonight. He wants to give us a little update on some things going on in Baton Rouge. I want to take him out of turn with the permission of the administration. Thank you all. And Senator Talbot, thank you for coming. We always appreciate you coming to the city of Kenner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, citizens, and chief and mayor. I'll be brief. I don't want to impinge on your wife's birthday celebration later, but tell her happy birthday for me. We wrapped up our session on Monday. I think we've been in session on and off since January with 2 special sessions wrapped in there. We did some good things. We had negative growth in spending, which I think is good. We got a lot of projects and money, brought back to Kenner. And I've reached out to Senator Miller, Representative Villio, and Representative Stagny about maybe coming back for the next meeting. You know, once the governor signs all the bills, you know, nothing's, as Wilmot knows, Mr. Wilmot, that nothing's set until the governor signs them. So we'd like to come back maybe then and detail, you know, the projects that were funded and everything that impacts Kenner. So just wanted to give y'all an update on that, and we can go into detail, you know, more in the next meeting. But as far as, you know, a couple of highlights, we are not going into a constitutional convention later this summer unless, you know, we didn't pass that bill, but unless the governor decides to call us in a session to do that. That's probably unlikely, but possible. But other than that, I think it was a very successful session and got a lot done, and again, brought a lot of projects back to Kenner that we can go into more detail later. And if there's any questions anybody has, I'd be happy to answer any.
I know the governor's had y'all up there a lot, and the time you invest in Baton Rouge for people like you that own businesses, and Debbie does the same thing, it's really something. I mean, it is a tremendous amount of time what the legislators do to spend their times in Baton Rouge for weeks and months at a time with families back home. So thank you so much for your service, for everything.
Well,
we do appreciate you helping the citizens of Kenner.
Thank you, and thank you.
Chief Connolly's got something for you.
Yeah, I just want to thank the senator as well as the rest of our delegation. You know, we're very fortunate to have these men and women up there fighting for us. They're very responsive. They take our calls, and I appreciate everything you've done on behalf of the police department.
You're welcome, and y'all are a pleasure to represent, and all y'all's governmental affairs people are top-notch and keep us well informed on what y'all's priorities are so we can make sure we can, you know, take care of them as much as we can. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you also for not running us out the building every time you see us coming, because we come with a hat in our hand asking, but thank you. I know the police department pretty much did very well this session, which is wonderful. So, thank you again.
All right, back to the correspondence from the mayor. Mayor Glazer, back to you.
All right, thank you. Before I get on, I'm not going to steal his thunder, I promised him, but today is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, World War II, and Mr. Al at the end is going to enlighten us with some previously unknown information, is what he's telling me. So I'll be interested to hear that. Just so everyone knows, the garbage pickup, we had a request from the garbage company to begin a little bit earlier during the summer months due to the heat. So they're going to start a little bit earlier, picking up garbage. So if there's any issues, call the mayor's office and let us know. Also, we have been, Louisiana State DOTD, I've come to learn that they don't like big trees anywhere near their roadways. And on May 29th, a couple weeks ago, pretty much gave us you need to remove the oak trees from the median on Williams between Vintage and Joe Yenny. You can see the deterioration of roadway now, but now it's damaging people's boats and I guess trucks and things like that. So we're looking into removing, I think it's 10 or 11 oak trees and replacing them with something that's non-evasive of the root system that damages their roadway. I don't have this month's sales tax report, May's, so April is, the revenues are up through over budget $2.1 million, even with about $1 million less in sales tax. But the overall revenue in April is up 2.1 million. So we're still making money. I'd like to congratulate the girls and boys in Kenner softball and baseball championships that have been going on now. It seems to be 2 weeks because of the rain in the afternoons, but I think there may be one group left that are trying to beat the rain, and if they got it done last night, congratulations to all the winners. A couple of announcements on the Juneteenth kickoff will be at the Martin Luther King Center on June 13th at 6 p.m. So far, I understand it's a pretty big hit because we have schools inquiring all in New Orleans to come listen to the Grambling football coach, Mickey Joseph. So he has a pretty good following himself, being that he's from this area. And also our Hurricane Preparedness Fair is June 15th, at Buddy Lawson from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's where we'll hand out some hurricane awareness stuff and some kits and things like that. So that is June 15th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Buddy Lawson. And that's it.
In brief response on the trees, please, I know y'all going to do it anyway, please do a public information campaign telling people when the trees are going to come down, because people love trees, and I know the issue, the indentations on the road. I'm sure Jose would explain that, but please do some Facebook posts. It helps.
Well, Jose gets the brunt of the I guess, comments from the state, so he handles it,
Yep.
and it's they pretty much given us a, you better remove them.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so.
I get it. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor this evening?
No.
Seeing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Item 1 is approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of May 17, 2024. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2399-24, the City of Kenner, District 1, to hold a public gathering on August 3, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the purpose of a back-to-school backpack and school supply giveaway at Susan Park Gymnasium, 502 Veterans Boulevard. Item 3B is application number 2407-24, the City of Kenner, District 1, to hold a public gathering on December 21, 2024, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the purpose of a holiday giveaway at Lincoln Manor Gymnasium, 3100 Tifton Street. And that will conclude the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings and final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,535. An ordinance adopting the operating budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Lahat to open the public hearing on the budget. Councilors in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing.
All right. First up at the podium, we have Mr. Greg Teft. Thanks for coming tonight. And you have 3 minutes. You can begin now.
All right, Greg Teft, District 5. On this budget, first of all, let me say I think it's a travesty that when y'all had your budget hearing, that y'all did not discuss going ahead and move on giving the fire department the $13 an hour that they had asked for. Even though I realize that we do have the coming in January, it should be starting with the fiscal budget this year in July. Now, that being said, while I think it's embarrassing, 4 of the councilmen on here tonight, during the last administration, when they didn't agree with the budget, they called for a special hearing. So I'm standing before you today to ask you to do that special hearing, or ask for the special hearing, to give the fire department the $13 an hour and the pay scale for escalating up through the years of service that they deserve. That's all I'm asking on this. And I'm, like I said, I'm embarrassed that it wasn't done when the budget was put together, because this has been an ongoing issue. We don't need to lose good people. It's just plain and simple. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the podium, hold on. Mr. Almirola, thanks for coming tonight.
4260 East Royal Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I want to direct this to Ms. Herring down there. What is the dollar amount of the operating budget, please?
The full budget is $125 million.
What is the operating budget, Ms. Herring?
Let's see. Let's back out 6.2 million of that 125 is your full budget. So 6.2 is capital. Your operating for general fund is 56 million.
Okay. So
You've got
I
debt
need to
service.
get and one more thing, I need to get a copy of that budget, and I'll be back up here for the next item as well. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Al, you can come to my office to receive a copy. The budget's also posted online, I know. go there. But if you come to my office, you can receive a copy.
How about you get me a copy and give it to me at the next meeting right here?
Okay, I'll send it with someone.
No hurry for it. It's gonna
Okay.
keep. Ain't
Sounds
going
good.
nowhere.
All right.
Thank you, young lady.
All right. Matt, good seeing you tonight.
How are you?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Matthew Hotard, Kenner Fire Department, Kenner Firefighter Association President, and a resident of District 5 in Kenner. The last meeting that I came to, I made the council aware that we requested the pay plan from Chief Morris. We got actually 2 versions of that, and it's called a draft. So we got 2 different drafts of the actual pay plan that I guess would be proposed. One of the questions I had is when I sat in the budget hearing, I heard that the amount of money that it would take to make the corrections was $430,000. By the paperwork that we were given, that number is $1.3 million. So I guess one of my questions would be that if it could be answered afterwards would be, where would the rest of that money be coming from in lieu of where the budget is, how the budget is being presented. When it comes to the 2 drafts of the pay plan, one of them is alarming for us as firefighters because there is a reduction in salary. To put it bluntly, or plainly so that you can understand it, is that the Kenner Fire Department gets 2% COLAs from year 1 through the duration of your career. One of the pay plans has it from years 3 through 23, which is 20 years, which means no matter the way you spin it, there is a reduction in salary within the department. And that is very alarming for us. And I'd like to ask, maybe I can get clarification on why there was 2 versions of this given to us, or drafts given, because one is normal and one is not. With that being said, I feel like the amount of time and effort that we put into hustling and the money we put into getting this millage passed, and I know there's everyone in this room, most people in this room, there's quite a few of you besides the fire department that have had a hand in this, and I'm greatly appreciative for that. But if we're looking at raising the starting pay to $13 an hour, which was said to be January 1, and we look at it in its totality with no guarantees for raises in the future or anything like that, I don't understand why that would even be on the table to give us something that would show that, as it stands, myself as a 16-year employee, when I got to a certain year, would not be making what someone in that same position is making now. It just doesn't make sense. The last thing I did want to say too is, and I would like everyone to think about this, since the millage passed, which is a huge thing for us, we have 5 members of our department that are going to a different department. It's a done deal, with 3 other that are in the process. That could possibly mean 8 people from the Kenner Fire Department in less than a year after an historic millage passed are leaving our department. And I think the question that we need to ask is why. Because I know that's the question that I'm asking, is why. So if I could get an answer to the pay plan and why there's two different things of that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hotard. All right.
Thank you.
This newfangled microphone they're getting for everyone, so it's not just me. That's when y'all get it. I'll go back to the first comment up there about why didn't go July 1 of this budget. All through this campaign, everyone involved knew that this would begin when the money was collected in December. It would begin January 1st. It was never, ever any question. If you go back, pull any literature, any comments we made, always January 1st. It passed. There's a law that says when you're promoted in the fire service from, I guess, firefighter to driver to operator to captain, it's percentage increases. I have no idea how the city of Kenner historically has not followed that. It's just random dollar this, dollar that raises per hour that the firemen get. So in an attempt to, when it passed, I got with Chief Morris and told him we have to fix this and find out how it got it, get back and get in line with what the law says. So he calculated numbers, still doesn't really have a concrete what it's going to say. because after the millage, the Fire Association sued us that we didn't promote them, pay them based on the law and their promotions. So we, in the meantime of us trying to put something together, we get slapped with a lawsuit, which pretty much grinds everything to halt with communicating with these guys on a daily basis, trying to see where they think something's inaccurate. And so it's in the attorney's hands now. They are meeting, because I said, look, I said, this goes into effect January 1st of '25. I said, if we overpaid you, you owe us money. If we underpaid you, we owe you money. The problem is the way it was structured through all the years for every fireman, it turns out that pretty much every fireman is on their own pay scale. So every employee has a different pay schedule. So that all has to be taken into account. I understand that there have been a couple of meetings, and there'll be one next week or the week after with their attorney to come to some kind of agreement, because it doesn't do the city any good spending money on attorneys. It doesn't do them any good spending money on attorneys when, at the end of the day, somebody's got to come up with a number. We have our numbers, what we think are right. When they filed suit, I told Terrence, go back and make sure that your numbers are right. I said, and ask them for their numbers. They can't give us any numbers. We asked. Show us where we're wrong, and that's where we're at today. We're in court. So that's pretty much the way that whole system worked out. The 2% raise, by state law, they get it from year 3 to year 20, to 23. It's for 20 years. The city has historically paid them throughout their career. That's how you have these 34-year assistant chiefs and all being the highest paid people in the city of Kenner, because historically the city's just paid them 2%. They want us to follow the law when it benefits them, but when it doesn't, they want us to break the law. So that's kind of what we're dealing with now, where they're going to come up here and say the salary's going down. We put the statutes up, follow it by law, and nobody comes here, you get a change in Baton Rouge. So since I've been sitting in the seat, I've been trying, I guarantee you more than any mayor in the last 20 years, to fix the fire department problems. We know they got problems. Their retirement system was, the contributions didn't go on. We made that payment. It's going to be paying for many years, trying to fix the promotional pay, the starting pay, the equipment, and the firehouses. You just can't go build a firehouse when you don't have monies in the bank to build a firehouse. We don't have monies in the bank to start their raise now, when we know we bumped up the millage election for the voters to decide, so it would go into effect January of 2025. So that's what I have to say about that. I think I answered every question.
Look, may I address one thing that he said?
Yes.
30 seconds. Thank you
Yes.
very much. I would agree with the mayor when he says that this administration has worked with the fire department more than in the 16 years I've been here. But the one thing I'm going to sternly disagree with is, it's very unfortunate that we had to file a lawsuit. But I would never, in good faith, and I could not sleep at night, if I went for a millage and asked for a city's backing and then turned around and sued the city that I work for. Could never do it. It's a horrible thing that we're doing it. I had the very unfortunate task of sitting with the mayor, which he met me for breakfast, before the millage was even voted on, for you to pass it. So I'd have to like to correct that, because I would never do things that way, and it's not how our association does things. Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Hotard, let me
Yes, sir.
say some brief things. When I first got this seat, there was no dispute that there were a bunch of problems with Kenner firefighters. And just meeting with you and your team, Jason many times, Chief Morris, there were a bunch of big ones. And since we've gotten in, we've settled the retirement lawsuit, which has been going on for almost 15 years, which is a big thing. That was a big check.
Yes, sir, I would
you got a
agree.
big friendly council up here, and you have a friendly administration. And then the millage, and we represent all these people in Kenner, 66,000 plus, to ask them, do you want a fireman millage?
Yes, sir.
We absolutely needed it. We need to help you guys. We need to fund the department. In my understanding, since the millage, before we even agreed to do it, that would be put into effect, that starting pay was definitely going to go to 13. And from the instant implementation of the millage, I think everyone knew legally that the money wasn't going to be there until 25. So
Correct.
I've never been told otherwise on any of that. It's not something, if we don't have the money, we can implement now, from my understanding of it.
No, us either.
There's some micro things out there. I understand the lawsuit. I'm an attorney. There's many reasons. There's many disputes all the time and many things. But I think you know, and the firemen know, that there is a friendly administration and friendly council here, and we are trying, and we've done a bunch, and we're not going to stop. So we're going to keep getting through this. When this money's here next year, I hope all these issues are rectified. I want them to be rectified, and your department will be almost fully funded. Now, I know not 100%, but it's a whole lot better than before. So I'm proud of the accomplishments we've done, but I know there's still things to do, and we all know that. So
Yes,
we're here and meet with you anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Anybody else on that issue? All right, come on up. 3 minutes.
My name is Nicholas Zalva. I'm the
Hey, Nick.
Cantor Firefighter Association Vice President, 802 Dante Street. I have a prepared statement, but first I want to address the state statutes that the mayor was referring to and say that those are minimums, and it's far past time that this Cantor Fire Department seek to set minimums. We should be exceeding that. We should be striving for better. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today. When considering the budget, the following must be taken into account. It has come to our attention through recent public records requests that a draft pay plan has been generated, which shockingly reflects a loss of cost of living adjustments for our dedicated firefighters up to their 3rd year of service and again after their 23rd year of service, a minimum that must not be allowed to happen. This revelation is deeply troubling and raises many questions about the priorities set for those who risk their lives every day for the safety of this community. Just last year, we achieved a significant victory by securing additional funding through a millage that was designed to improve salaries. Thanks to the unwavering support of the people of Kenner, the citizens voted to ensure their firefighters are fairly compensated and adequately supported. In no way did they vote to see the firefighters lose any benefits or wages. The draft pay plan in question is a betrayal to your firefighters. Your firefighters work tirelessly, often in the most dangerous and demanding conditions, to protect lives and property. They deserve stability, respect, and fair compensation for their invaluable service. I stand here today to ask a fundamental question. Why was this pay plan drafted, and why is it even being considered? It undermines the very foundation of the agreement the city made with the public and jeopardizes the morale and well-being of our firefighters. These men and women are not just employees. They have put their lives on the line for the city. Any reduction in their benefits is not just a financial issue, it is a moral issue. I ask the city, the council, and the people to stand united in ensuring that our firefighters receive the support and respect they rightfully earned. Thank you.
Can I correct some of the comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
That nothing has been, the raise is built in. I don't know where they're getting at the raise is not there. The raise is in there. Everything they have, they wanted, we had to produce something. We didn't have to create a record, but we had a draft that we're working through with our attorneys and making sure in finance, making sure the fire department administration numbers are correct. So 6 months of the new $13 and all that money is built in this budget already. The money for, I think it's the $400 and some odd thousand that we have, or it's sitting in the general fund, if we come to an agreement before we end up in a courtroom on how much money we owe these people back for, unfortunately, it's going to be 3 years. If they've been paid incorrectly for 20 years, they file suit, it only gets a 3-year look back. So that's the reality of this whole situation is, but they're getting their raise that they get every year, and in January is when the new pay scale goes into effect. So, I mean, I don't know where they're losing anything. So there's no decision been made of anything about 20 years from now and 5 years from now, is the ones that exceeded their 23rd year, does it stop? So I don't know where all it's coming from, but nothing has changed in the fire department budget other than more money coming in and trying to address all their issues.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. Mrs. Hotard, thanks for being here. You have 3 minutes, okay?
Thank you. It's good to hear from the mayor that these are drafts and that they are going to be working through to ensure that the firemen and women are being paid properly into the future. However, we're here because we want to make sure, and especially people that campaigned for this millage, we want to make sure that the money that was received is spent properly and is spent in a way that the firemen are going to benefit from it through either equipment and salaries and all of the things that this millage is supposed to be dedicated to. And as kind of a gatekeeper for that, we need to make sure that it's done properly. In order for it to be done properly, the numbers have to be correct. And we also can't use past barbs as a reason to not ensure the correctness of the future of the fire department. And what I mean by that is I've heard about lawsuits, and I'm also an attorney, and you know that, Mr. Lahat. And so lawsuits sometimes are essential evils. And in these cases, in the cases that have been filed, they're right. It is about past unpaid, improper pay, not being paid the wages they were promised. You can't punish someone for that. What you can do, though, is take a look forward and look at how can we fix this going forward? How can we ensure we retain employees? And that comes with properly spending this millage money and ensuring that money isn't taken away. I can tell you as a wife that I did not campaign for a millage to get enacted that would eventually take money away from the firemen and women, from people who've spent their lives dedicating themselves to the department. So what was anticipated is $13 an hour base wage, accounting for compression all the way up, and then also to keep the 2%, which again, 2% doesn't really even keep up with the cost of living, but keep the 2% as they are all the way into the future throughout someone's career, because that's only fair, because if regardless of whether you say, oh, this is only from year 23 and so forth, you're talking about people that have dedicated more than 20 or 23 years of their life to the service of this city. So taking anything away from them in any form, they should benefit from the millage just like everyone else down the ladder and down the line. So again, we're just here to make sure that everything is done properly, that the money is spent in the way that it was promised to be spent, and to the benefit of these people that have worked so hard for the city of Kenner. And I think that they deserve that. They don't need to have anything messed with, from overtime to percentage increases to COLA raises. And so we just, again, I understand that it's in draft form. It's a positive step. I just want to make sure that that positive step continues forward. And I think that's what the men and women are here today to kind of represent and say. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
One quick comment.
Absolutely.
I don't think we took anything away from the fire. I don't know where this conversation even started today with, this is the last thing I would have expected to come up today is the fire department and their budgets, because the only issue is the promotional pay. And I'm going to say it publicly, is the fire administration thinks they have a number that's right. All the fire association or each individual fireman needs to come and say, this is what I think I deserve, and prove it. You're going to have to do it in court. We don't have to make it to court if you just show us this is what we think everybody should make. Every name listed and everything at the end of the day, that's exactly what the judge is going to want to see. We can't come in and say, here's our draft plan. He's going to say, association, where's yours? We don't have it. Because as we sit today, that's kind of where we're at. That's why I've been pushing for our attorney to get with their attorney to come up with some kind of, I guess, have them produce something what they earn. But I don't know where you're getting, the millage is dedicated. I don't know who thinks the millage can be pulled, this, that, and the other. Anyway, that money's staying in the fire department for anything from salaries to equipment. And there's nothing taken away from them. I'm kind of at a loss for words to find out how that dialogue even started.
Okay, Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, the fire millage passed, and I don't ever remember that it was supposed to start July 1. It was always supposed to start on January 1. So I don't know where that is coming from, but basically that's the way it was sold and voted on by the Kenner residents. It's supposed to start when the money comes in on January 1.
Well, those that are involved in planning millage increase elections, you do not pick a governor's race where everyone's going to show up to vote as a tax increase. That's absolutely the worst plan to have. But to get this millage voted on and passed and start collecting taxes January 1st of this year so they can get paid January 1st of next year, that's the election that had to happen. What you normally do, people that try to do it, you do it at a library, somebody, where that's the only thing on the board, so you have every fireman goes out to vote and maybe 3 or 4 other people. So that's how you pass millages. If you think we were trying to do something shady, I guarantee you I would have never, ever agreed to put it on a huge statewide election. So it was never, ever was it any other date but January 1 of 2025 is when the money would have been in the bank and the salaries will be adjusted.
Anybody else? All right, we're still in the public hearings. We're going to close the public hearing at this point. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Lahat to close the public hearing. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Okay, now we're back to the approval of the budget.
Please put your motion on the floor, and then you guys can
Yes,
just
motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Lahat to approve. Anybody discussions? No? Councilmember McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Overall, we had a budget hearing. I think this budget was very detailed. I didn't have any, I had lots of questions on the budget as usual. But it was drafted, it was very transparent. It was very clear to me that the administration worked with all the departments to create a budget that is workable and realistic for the citizens of Kenner. I know, obviously, the fire department, from the words that people were discussing today, I know there are some concerns. There in this operating budget. There, as the mayor said, that there are dollars allocated to increase pay and build that updated pay plan. And I am concerned. I know there's still a back and forth, right, for the pay plan. Obviously, they mentioned multiple times that it's draft. I know me, and I'm not speaking for all the council, but I know I feel like strongly we're all dedicated to make sure that a workable solution for the firefighters that helps the firefighters, obviously makes them successful and feel satisfied, because we don't want to lose firefighters. We know how dedicated you are, and we're dedicated to you as well. I sat up here advocating for this. It was never my intention in any other way to not support a sustainable, workable pay plan. We're only looking at the budget for this year, and approving it for this year. I know, obviously, any pay plan is long-term. So let's just take that into consideration. We need to all work together. The administration wants to work together. Anything that I can do to advocate that, to make sure that we're all, on the same page and moving forward, I'm 100% behind that. So I just want to make sure that, I know you come, the members of the audience come with concerns. We have heard your concerns. And I know the administration has heard your concerns. Our goals are all the same. We're all city employees. We're citizens of Kenner. We want to make sure that that everyone comes out, because everything is going to be successful for the citizens of Kenner, right? We don't want any party to be unsuccessful. So just know that we are all dedicated to be successful. So I think this is a good starting point. Obviously, the budget can change and flow throughout the year. We have budget amendment for the capital budget and some budget amendments going forward. So just know that this is a plan, and we're moving forward. But we're dedicated to making sure that all parties are happy. So thanks.
Anybody else? Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Council Chair. I think your comments earlier were join the dedication and the commitment that we have to public safety, whether it's for the fire department or whether it's for the police department. There are items on here that we're going to be approving hopefully a little later in the meeting for equipment that the fire department has said that they need. And we're taking council funds to pay for that equipment. We've done it for the police department. We've done it for various departments. We've done it for equipment for public works, the generators to be used by the emergency development or, pardon me, emergency management. In the event of a storm where equipment is needed, generators are needed to operate lights and different things like that. So there are some things obviously that need to be worked out with this. I trust that the administration and the legal department and the people from the fire association will sit down and come to an agreement on that. Again, I think we have taken many, many steps as a council for public safety and for the betterment of the city. And as Councilwoman McKinney said, we're residents here as well. We don't want to see people leave. We want to see people stay here and have the city thrive. So I commend the work that's been done for the budget, and I look forward to continuing to work for the betterment of our constituents and the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Anybody else? All right, back to voting on 8A, approval of the operating budget. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Lahat to approve. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,552. An ordinance adopting the capital budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Dunn to open the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing.
Mr. Morrell, it's all
Al
yours.
Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Same question, Ms. Herring. What is it, about 68, 69 million for the capital budget?
Yeah, 6.3 million.
What is it?
6.3 million.
Okay, and the operating budget you said was 56,
That's for general fund. The total is 119.
okay, 119, okay. A little clarification on it. So one more time, the capital budget, 6.3. 6.3. Okay, thank you. And I'll be looking for a copy of that budget at the next meeting. Anybody got any comments, any questions?
Nope.
And maybe one more thing in closing. It's associated with this, I'm on point. Maybe some of that money will fix that big pothole we got by Sunset and East Loyola right there on the corner of my house, which I called your office, Brian Brennan, about a week ago and reported it. Anybody got any comments, any questions? One more time. Thank you.
All right, anybody else, public hearing? Seeing none, close the public hearing at this point. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Dunn to close the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
On 8B, to approve the capital budget. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Dunn to approve. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8C is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,553. An ordinance amending the capital budgets for various fiscal years to reallocate unexpended funds to the fiscal year 2024-2025.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat to open the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing. If there's anyone wishing to address, please come forward. Seeing none.
Okay, let's close the public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Lahat to close the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Okay, on the main motion to approve, Councilmember McKinney, Woman McKinney?
Yes, but I just want a clarification from.
Yep. So basically what we did is we're starting to work with the departments to just clean up some old capital. So we have capital sitting out there from like 2003. So we're trying to meet with every department and go through what they have allocated to see if it's needed anymore. Is there a better use of that money, and kind of consolidate it down. So the departments that it affects this time is the council funds, fire, finance, general services, IT, emergency management, and fleet. So we were able to identify projects that they could use the money for and just consolidate it down into a new account. So instead of like $5,000 for exhaust and this, we just did it as like fleet upgrades or fire upgrades, stuff like that. So we were able to work with those departments. There'll be a few more coming your way as we work through the larger departments, like Public Works and Recreation. So this is just the start. We were able to identify $1.9 million of projects that were previously funded that will go back into the general fund. So a majority of that funding came from a project that was done at the Pontchartrain Center, where it was actually covered by a different line item. So 1.9 will be rolling back into the general fund balance.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I just have so the funds that were not spent, and are they going to be applied to other projects? Like they were unfinished projects, or projects that decided we were moving in a different direction or something like that?
Yeah, correct. So like your council funds, y'all get a set amount every year, and instead of having, $123.01 in one account, and we have to split out the purchase, we're just moving all that into one account as a lump sum. Some projects, we no longer needed, like we don't have a humane department, so we didn't need cages and all that thing. So all that was returned back. But some projects, there was just money left over from projects that were complete that we were able to repurpose.
Okay, and that's all capital funds,
It's
though,
just
right?
fully capital.
Okay, so there was just some funds that weren't spent on the capital side that are just being reallocated to different items? Okay.
Yeah, we really should have been doing this more often. 2003 is a long time ago, so we're gonna try, to do this annually in the future.
Good. Yeah, so you're gonna sweep the accounts annually? Okay, great, thank you.
Good work, Ms. Herron. All right, back on the motion to approve. Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Lahat to approve. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8D is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,548, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 10,170 and amending the City of Kenner Code of Ordinances by adding sections to revise volume rate and minimum charge fees for all surge user accounts.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember Dunn to open the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
We have a presentation from the administration on this, on 8D, from what I understand.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll take public comment after, so everybody can watch it, and then if they have any
Right.
questions, they can address it at the podium.
Well, I'm sure, well, I guess I'll go through it, and at the end, the dollars and cents Elizabeth can handle, and the nuts and bolts Joanne can handle if there's any questions.
Okay.
But this need is long overdue in the city of Kenner. I really believe that most residents really don't understand the wastewater, system, the operations itself. So hopefully in this presentation, it does have way too many slides, but I'm gonna get through them just to kind of give an overview of the system, where we're at today, where we've been in the past, and what's needed in the future. First thing is the terrain around here. Kenner is a flat terrain that lies mostly under sea level. Soil conditions are poor, comprised of mostly organic, weak soils. These factors, in conjunction with the age of the system, the amount of rainfall and the area experiences, results in constant costly maintenance challenges for the city's wastewater department. Currently, annual income revenue, mostly sewer user fees, does not cover the cost of annual operating and maintenance expenses. The city's wastewater department is responsible for the administration, management, construction, and maintenance of our sewer system. Lack of proper funds results in the department operating in a reactive mode rather than a proactive mode, which drives expenses. We know that emergency expenses are a lot more than planning out in when you can properly plan for something. This is what our sewer system consists of today. We have one wastewater treatment plant that's approximately 38 years old. You can see, I know we have a LDEQ loan y'all just approved a few meetings ago with the 4 clarifiers of about, I think it was 4 million or a little bit more to redo them. We have 84 sewer lift stations, which is stations all over the city of Kenner. You see in some slides later where they're located, and they actually just move wastewater from various parts of the city to the wastewater treatment plant. We have 365 miles of gravity sewer lines with a 55-year average life, 35 miles of force mains. That's pretty much coming out of these lift stations and force mains, pushing it at 45 years old. The problem with running all of this stuff is increased cost. The city's also a customer. Everything's going up for customers, but the city is also a customer when it comes to wastewater. The chemicals have gone up, construction costs have gone up, electricity is more expensive, water is more expensive, equipment, pumps, motors, and valves are all more expensive. You see the prices pretty much almost every agenda when we buy a new pump for some force main or lift station. Infiltration and inflow, commonly called I&I. Pretty much when it rains, water goes into the pipes arrest system, mostly during rain events, via open joints, manhole issues, illegal connections to sewer pipes. That's when people tie downspouts at their house or put drains in their backyard and don't want to run it to a proper drain. They put into our sewage pipes, and that's kind of what adds water to our wastewater and kind of overruns the system. When that happens, it causes the pumps to wear out because they're constantly running. The next slide, you see, pretty much this is what we deal with. It's a broken pipe. Water kind of goes in the broken pipes, and you'll see what happens if you see it there. It just kind of just runs and kind of just fills up what I've learned are wet wells. The next slide will show you what happens on a normal day. The green slide on the left that's lift stations that are pretty much running as they're supposed to. But when it rains, all the red means the wet well alarms are sounding because they have high wet well levels, and it's strictly from water infiltration into our sewer system. So that's kind of the immediate need is to eliminate all of that. And when power fails, we have lift stations run off energy power. We don't have generators for every lift station, which we should have. If they're sitting idle, the water just pours in. That's where you get the wet wells. And what it results in is, I don't know if it's a slide or not, is that's when the sewage system doesn't work. You can't flush toilets. Everyone around Katrina and all knew that we sat idle for a while. It just doesn't work. You can't use your toilets anymore, and our wastewater system doesn't work. These are the finances. Proposed budget for this upcoming fiscal year is operating expenses right around $10 million. Debt service expense, which is $2.1 million. This is repayments for the loans we have from Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. Required transfer to debt service is a little over $1 million. Operating revenue is $9.2 million. That's pretty much the sewer user fees. That's what people pay. The proposed non-operating revenue is $856,766, which interest and miscellaneous taxes. The general fund pretty much subsidizes this over $3 million. So that's the issue. When you go into finances, you'll see here, the City of Kenner is currently under a compliance order issued by the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality as a result of deficiencies resulting from our aging wastewater system. Kenner has taken advantage of low-interest, flexible loans issued by LDEQ to bring the system into compliance. Now, I'm not going to even try to say that we're anywhere close to being in compliance, and you see how bad this is and how long it's been going. We currently have 5 active loans from LDEQ to finance multiple wastewater repair projects. The debt service is not currently covered due to deficit revenue. So this has been going on for well over 20 years, this compliance order. And what it is, I guess we can't keep up with the deterioration of this system. And you can see is when they come and inspect our wastewater systems, and it comes with hefty fines and things like that. You know, we pretty much staying away from fines and kind of getting back, holding our own, but still, we chasing ourselves just to meet the minimum requirements. The most alarming thing is this here is a snip from an email from a representative of LDEQ notifying our finance department that until we submit a plan of action to fund the rehabilitation of our sewer system, they will cease funding the LDEQ loans we desperately need to facilitate these projects, which means the low-interest loans that the state gives out, we're not eligible for, and the ones we have now, they're going to stop issuing money on the loan, and that's the problem. So, Liz, when did we do that? The rate study is dated May of 2024. So in the water, I don't know, I'm getting in front of myself, but in the water sector program in the state of Louisiana, it requires rate studies ever so many years to pretty much determine if your sewer fees are financing your wastewater operations. Currently ours isn't, as I said earlier, so this rate study done by a company called Manshack is projected out 10 years. So once, hopefully this passes today and, we don't have to address this for 10 years. The last time anyone's touched this was in November of 2010. The council passed a sewer fee increase when then Mike Yenny was mayor, and it was passed in 2010, and I think 2014 is when it started kicking in. The Kenner's bond rating is in jeopardy. This is another thing when we go out to try to get bonds, which you'll see later in some of this agenda's bond rating. The standard in 2013, Standard & Poor's affirmed a long-term rating for Kenner's consolidated sewers district bonds with a stable outlook. In 2019, S&P downgraded its rating to A- with a negative outlook. In 2021, after Hurricane Ida, S&P placed us on credit watch with negative implications. In 2024, S&P affirmed its A- rating and revised the outlook to stable from negative. And that's based on us having this rate study. They wanted us to come with a plan to show that we were going to do something to fund our wastewater operations. So our bond ratings, began to decline the last few years. Did I think I would be sitting here asking for a sewer rate increase? I would probably tell you no, because we've pretty much been in this situation since I think, was it 2004 is the compliance order that we can find the first one, or the oldest one. So wastewater rate structure only includes a variable charge of $5.20 per 1,000 gallons to all customers. There's two different classes in this. You can see residential and commercial. As you see, residents pay only 85% of their water consumption. Commercial pays 100% of it. This is one of our enterprise funds in the city of Kenner, or enterprise fund in any government accounting is, I think our enterprise funds are what, 15 million this upcoming. An enterprise fund, the intent of these is the cost of providing services to the general public on a continuing basis be financed or recovered primarily through user fees. And this is a common practice in government accounting. Elizabeth can answer some questions later on that if some questions come up. Due to limited growth rate of our utility, most of the increases will come from the rate increases. This is what they propose in their study is the 16% increase this year is double, was it double? Because this should have went in effect last year, is what they were saying, to try to catch up where you don't have, so it's a big increase the first 2 years and then gradually goes down to, after 2029, it would be just a regular cost of living adjustment. So that's kind of what they proposed. That's why our bond rating was now stable and back up to an A-, because we had a plan. So the final piece of this plan is the council to approve, and we can go. These two next slides are the revenue requirement summaries and what a bi-monthly bill would look like. You know, it's kind of a little different, the pay, you know, unfortunately, I'm sure Councilwoman McKinney pays a lot more in water fees than me and my wife, with a house full of kids and, you know, a big family, and anybody else that has a lot of family members. But as you can see, this slide with the comparison throughout the country was presented by Jefferson Parish when they did their sewer fee increase. And you can see this whole area is way under the national average of what people pay for sewage fees. And how we compare bi-monthly to people around here, the most alarming thing is New Orleans is way up there. I guess some of their soil is like ours, but Baton Rouge is still a lot more than ours, and their soil is nothing like ours. They have a more ideal, I guess, soil, that they don't have the issues with the underground piping. All right, critical for stabilization of our system is the treatment plant improvements, the sewer lift station upgrades. Look, as it goes now, we borrow money or get grants. Then we have what, 2 sewer lift rehabilitations going now, I believe. And if you do 2 of them every 18 months, the system is going to fail before we get to replacing all of them at the rate we're going now. Gravity and force mains, repair, replace. We need the new GIS and SCADA systems, which kind of operates. There's a software behind letting us know. We would like to have every generator at a lift station, but I still think that's pretty much unrealistic, so we have a lot of portable ones on trailers. These aren't little handheld generators. These are large generators, and purchase of more equipment. The rate study, this is pretty much the end of the rate study when it was completed in their findings. And in conclusion, Kenner, like other areas of our region, faces challenges in maintaining aging sewer system due to limited revenues. This isn't unique, as other nearby governments have tackled similar issues by securing sustainable funding. Which I don't want to see is, you remember the geyser on West Napoleon by the East Bank Library a few years ago, where it just ran for many, many, many hours of raw sewage going in the canal. And President Chang said their cost to repair that, if it was not preventative maintenance, the emergency repair was 8 times what it would have normally cost if they had a maintenance program in place. So that's the stuff we're trying not to do here. Some of the last heavy rainstorm last month, I think it was, it's happening. It may not happen in front of your house, but we know in Chateau we have pictures from sewage backing up out of manhole covers into the street. So that's the stuff that should never happen, but it happens all too often here in the city of Kenner. So to sum it up, it says, the facts presented to you today paint a very scary picture. If we don't take action, it's actually a very dangerous picture, because we can, you know, have some of these failures that are going to just put sewage in our streets. And we're happy to say that a land-based casino opened today that's much larger than the boat. It's going to put even more strain on our system. Tuesday of this week, we had a second meeting with airport representatives with their master plan, and that airport terminal is probably going to double in size within the next, what was it, 10 years maybe, with more construction on the south side with a transportation hub, which is going to, you know, even put more strain on this system. We have large luxury condominiums being built on the north side, and what's alarming to me, which they used to have a plant behind Chateau Country Club on the golf course that was done away with now, but everything still goes there, and it's kind of like it's just transferred through. If you see some of the photographs of our maintenance contractors where you have the pipes, or, you know, this far in, and it's hanging on the edge where they got to go cut them and make temporary repairs so they don't have those pipes blowing out. I do believe that the residents of Kenner deserve a system that is well-run and in good shape. And not only do they deserve it, I think they expect it. I wouldn't be sitting here asking for a sewer fee increase if, first of all, you know, it's pretty much the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, who we've been under a compliance order for probably well over 20 years, to get something done, and it's kind of fixing the immediate needs and don't have a long-term plan. It's been 14 years since this has been addressed. The rate study by, you know, this company, Manchac Consulting Group, pretty much lays it out that LDEQ and the bond rating, Standard & Poor's, are okay with, and they would approve it. And this isn't a vote of the people. It isn't me signing a piece of paper raising it. It's this type of enterprise fund takes council approval. And with that, I ask for your favorable approval of this item. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Glazer. Great presentation. Ms. Berlin, you have something? Oh, I'm sorry. You're doing the PowerPoint. I'm sorry. I thought you were waiting to say something.
Presentation, but you know what? Actually, I just want to mention the fact that this is not something that hasn't just happened in Jefferson Parish. As you all know, you know, during my tenure in Jefferson Parish in 2021, I was part of a team under Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang that had to basically do what Mayor Glazer is doing today, and that is asking you, this is not proactive. This is something that we simply, we have to do it or we're in a heap of trouble. And this is not a fun thing to do. It's not glamorous, but if we want to make families and businesses call Kenner their home, this is our responsibility. It was the responsibility of the parish president and the council in Jefferson Parish to do the same thing in 2021. And I remind you, they approved a rate increase over a 20-year period to sustain sewer and water. So this is not something that is unique to Kenner. It's happening all around us, and that's why it's of the greatest importance.
Okay, since we're in the public hearing phase, I'm going to go ahead and start allowing the people from the audience who wish to address us on this issue, and council, of course, will discuss this after.
Let him remove his equipment, Joey.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Not a problem.
Not time yet.
Yeah, you got it now.
You done with that, man? Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. One thing we do understand, I'm with directives to the mayor, 2014, an $80 million bond issue was approved by the then council and signed off Mayor Mike Yenny at the time. This $80 million, we was under LDEQ compliance order then. This $80 million bond issue that we still paying to this day was supposed to take care of all of that. In previous meetings, I brought up that $80 million right here at this podium. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I never could get an answer. All I got was issue a public records request. So I'm going to tell y'all this right now. S&P Global, the man was right. S&P Global downgraded our bond rating. Okay, now they revised it up from negative to stable again. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Herron, but our bond rating is connected directly to our general fund balance, 10% or more of whatever our budget is. Now, we had to raise this general fund last year to fund the budget. Now, I want to know, can anybody on this council, can anybody in this administration, can Ms. Massoni here tell us what went down with this $80 million? Why are we talking about a 76% rate increase in sewer? What did we get for $80 million that we still paying right now? Can anybody answer that? And if no one can, guess what? I'm opposed to this 250%. I will not support this, and I will say on this basis alone, this council should not approve this until you can tell the people of Kenner what went down with that $80 million. Anybody?
What was the $80 million?
$80 million.
What was it for?
It was for sewer upgrades and to bring us into compliance with the LDEQ, Mayor, and it was for repairs as well. $80 million in bond debt. which I opposed because I wanted to know who they was going to bring in here to do $80 million worth of work on our system. No one can answer that question either, so I stayed opposed to it. But anyway, that then council passed it. Now, I want to know what went down with that $80 million. Until I can get an itemized report showing what $80 million was spent on our sewer system over the last 10 years, I'm opposed to any sewer rate increase at all. And I think it's tied into 13A on the agenda today. To our bond rating.
So the only thing that I can find, back in 2009, we did a $26 million for wastewater, and there was a $35 million. The only LDEQ loans we're paying on currently now begin with LDEQ number 3, which was for $22 million, and we still owe 7.8.
This was no loan, Ms. Aaron. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this was no loan. This was a $80 million bond issue.
That's it.
In bonds.
That's a loan.
That's a loan.
Okay,
That's a loan.
but it wasn't no loan from the LDEQ. This was a bond issue.
Then it wasn't
$80 million.
sewer.
It's
Then it
not
wasn't
for sewer.
sewer.
Huh?
It's not for sewer.
Then it wouldn't have been for sewer.
It was. That's what the people of Kenner were told at the town hall meeting, Mayor.
Well-
that $80 million was for upgrades and repairs to our sewer system, and the problems were going to be rectified, and we would be up from under that compliance order.
Mr. Morella, thank you so much. I'll let you go a little bit longer due to the question, but
I want
I
that
appreciate your
report.
time. Okay. All right, anybody else? Up for the public on 8D. All right, Mr. Greg Teff, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Greg Trapp, 5th District. I'm not going to take much of your time. I just want y'all to understand something. Since this administration has come in, we have put tax upon tax, expense upon expense to the public. And now we're going to be adding this. Jefferson Parish is already going to be going up because of their upgrading the meters and such. I mean, I don't know how much of this more you want to put on the backs of the citizens, because that's what is happening. The citizens are the one that's carrying this load. Now, I don't know anything about the $80 million. I just know that at some point in the Yenny administration, there was money brought in to do the sewer upgrade. Obviously, if we're this bad a shape, that money did not get used for that. It probably may have gotten used for something else. I don't know. But obviously the sewer didn't get upgraded. Now, I know the city has a bad problem. I know Jefferson Parish has a problem. I know New Orleans has a problem. But I don't think we need to keep putting it on the backs of the citizens, because you're running people out of Kenner. You really are. Because the people that are retired can't afford all this. It's a big expense. Now, I don't know how deep we went to see, because if there was money brought in, like Mr. Morella pointed out, it should be accountable. We should be able to see where it came in and what it went out on. All I know is that within the last, since I've gotten involved, it just seems like every time we turn around, we need maintenance on this, because, or we're having to fix this. But the one thing I learned from the previous administration on back was that maintenance really wasn't being done. We didn't have a maintenance schedule to do the things that needed to be done to keep equipment from breaking. Some of our buildings were deteriorating. I know, because I brought it up at previous council meetings. Why are we waiting now to fix it? It's been there for a while. And that's what this goes back to. Poorly managed equipment out there. Now, but you're putting it on the backs of the public. You're putting it on the backs of the citizens. And the people right now are at wit's end. They can't afford what they got. As you know, everything's going up. And I think we got to make sure that if we're going to vote on anything, that we have actually put our ducks in order to make sure this is exactly what we need, and there needs to be a plan, like the mayor pointed out with the fire department.
Thank you, Mr.
Of how
Teff.
that's going to be spent.
Your 3 minutes expired. I appreciate you coming tonight. You want to say? Anybody else in the audience on 8D? All right, let's go ahead and close the public hearing, then we'll have discussion. All right, we're going to close public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Dunn to close the public hearing on 8D. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, now we're back on the legislation.
If you-
Councilmember McKinney?
Can we put up motion on the floor first?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry. Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Dunn to approve. Councilmember McKinney?
Mr. Chairman, just let you know, I have a request for an amendment, so just whenever you guys want to entertain the amendment, just let me know. You want to go do it now?
Let's do it now.
Okay. I received a request to amend this item as per Councilman Brannigan. In Section 3, please make the amendment to read that all sewer account user tax would read sewage account user fee. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
I do not.
Council members in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Back to your original motion as amended.
Okay. Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Thank you for this detailed presentation. We appreciate, and I think it's very important for this matter to be discussed and taken into account, especially given the results of the survey or the study that was done, the recommendations. I know in another conversation that I had with the CFO, she mentioned that there actually were recommendations to increase them at a higher rate to cover, to put in more long-term stable situation. But the administration did not feel that that was prudent and felt like the citizens could handle that. So I appreciate taking those things into consideration. And as the mayor said, I do have a big family, and I think that affects obviously usage. It's a user fee. So if you use more water, then you're going to get affected by it. If you have a pool, you're going to get affected by it, right? Those are things that need to be taken into consideration. Although a pool is different, but anyway. The more you flush the toilet, obviously, the more the impact, right? We went on tours, all of the council went on tours of the wastewater facilities, the main wastewater treatment plants a year ago, which I would highly recommend never doing. But the condition of the facilities, by no fault of this administration, and was disappointing, because there were a lot of things that were not being maintained and were not in a condition that if a city like the city of Kenner, who has a lot of people in and out because of the airport, we have the lake and the river, we're trying to bring in new facilities, we're trying to enhance economic development. We need to have these facilities, and we need to be able to have good, sewage, wastewater facilities, right? So I think it's, nobody wants to increase, user fees, least of us, but in order to be proactive, like Mr. Cheff was saying, deferred maintenance has been a huge issue for a long time. In this effort to actually be proactive and actually, in the years to come, I know Ms. Brolin said that this is reactive, but this is also reactive. It's reactive because we haven't done anything in the past, but in order to change where we are, we need to be aggressive for the future, right? And this is definitely a way to make sure that we're looking towards the future and making sure that as we grow and as we move forward, we're actually able to replace our facilities and make them better. So, Mr. Chepp, I think that this is the plan, and if we don't do this now, then we're literally digging a huge wastewater hole that's going to be even deeper. And it's not a situation, you know, we have the airport, like I said, we have major transportation hubs that come through here. We want to grow. We're trying to focus on economic development. If we don't do these type of things, we're gonna end up in a huge hole, even worse. So, I'm speaking for myself. You know, this is not something that I'm excited about. You know, who wants to increase fees? No one wants to increase fees, but we need to be proactive. And honestly, you know, I don't want to blame it on a past administration. I don't want to blame it on anyone, but I applaud this administration for being proactive and doing what is right. This is a decrease, or not a decrease, but this is less than other people in our area are paying. And, you know, we have good quality facilities. We have good police. We have good fire. You know, we need to have top wastewater department. So I think this is just a step in the right direction. And thank you for those efforts. So.
Thank you, Councilwoman McKinney. Councilman George Brannigan.
Yes, this can's been kicked down the road for a long time. And basically, being proactive, I get tired of getting phone calls that my toilet won't flush, or I got water coming out of the sewer grates in the middle of the street, and you have to explain to the people that, I know it's 2024, but the problem in the sewer system that we have has got to be corrected. The number one goal is we have to get back in a good position with LDEQ, because if we don't, then we are going to have problems with the low interest loans that we get to be able to work on the sewer and wastewater system. Developing a plan of action was one of the things that the organization said that we had to do. And it's not like Mayor Glazer and his administration went out and said, okay, well, let's say we're going to pick this number and this is what we're going to start charging everybody. Manchac Consulting went out, did an analysis on our system and where we are, and came up with a plan for us to fix this situation that has got to be fixed. It's a user fee, it's not a tax. I know some people don't want to hear that. I don't want to pay any more. Every time you flush your toilet, you got dollars going out. I understand that. But it is a user fee. It's like electricity. If your electric bill is $350 a month, you can't go call Energy and say, well, I'm only paying $200 this month. You know, you can't do it. This is the way it is. The last time that this was visited was in 2010. And at that time, there was a 145% increase to get LDEQ off of the backs of the city of Kenner, because there was a $16 million fine that was sitting out there. That fine would have done nothing for our sewer and wastewater systems. Veolia had the contract. I remember in 2020, and a couple of my colleagues that were on the council at that time, we were told that we're going to save $1 million a year by going from Veolia to bringing the department in-house. Ms. Herron, have we saved $1 million?
No, we have not.
Okay, that's alarming. And then I found out a couple other things, that in 2022, a CPI index was not put onto the rates that's charged to the consumer. And it cost the city's general fund $500,000. You can't have that kind of stuff keep happening. We have got to get this stuff straight. This administration has gotten hit with a million different things, and we are fixing things as a council and the administration. And look, I don't like things going up, and I know things have gone up, but we have got to get this in order. I am voting for this legislation. We have a plan of action that a consulting firm has come in, analyzed our situation, and brought it to the table. And we have to get this fixed in order to get back in compliance, get the ratings up, and not be in bad standing with LDEQ.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might be a few minutes, so just be aware. First off, how much funds does this generate annually, if you will, Ms. Herring?
Yep, I can pull up the rate study, 1 second. These are all just projected numbers. You know, we have data as far as how many number of user accounts are in place, but, you know, Jefferson Parish collects on our behalf and then distributes the funds to us. So the change in operating revenue for the first year would be $2.5 million. And then it varies over the years because it's different percentages. So it's not going to be a set amount annually because it's not the same percentage change.
We
shown on the computer screen here that it was 16% for the first, 16% for the second, then
Correct.
7, then 7, then 7, then 7.
Correct, and then a CPI after that.
Right. So that's
So 2.5, and then 905,000, 937,000, 1 million, 1.1 million, 533,000, 536,000, 556, 577, and then 598 is the difference.
what happens after that?
Well, in 2029, as part of the rate study, we will have to take a look at where we're at that point. We're basing it, that those numbers are based on a 3% CPI. Last year, it was closer to 5% is what the CPI was, and the years before that, it was closer to 7. So, you know, I can't predict the future on what that CPI is going to look like, but we would continue a CPI until a new rate fee schedule would be put in place.
Okay, thank you for that. As far as we're doing this now, why are we doing this now? Somebody please give me that answer. I mean, I know we already talked about the issues with the loans and so forth.
Yeah, to reiterate, we currently are not in compliance with our current loans. So as you saw that email up there, LDEQ said we are not giving you another penny on loans that we already took out because we do not meet our coverage. You know, it's a reimbursement, it's a drawdown. We did the projects. We've already spent the money, and now we're asking them to reimburse us, and they are not giving us any money. If we cannot recover these funds, we don't have the cash for it. We are trying to close on a new loan. We're not going to get it if we don't have a plan.
Explain to us how much dollars that means right now.
So currently, we owe $41 million for LDEQ loans. We still have, including the new upcoming loan, it would be close to $19 million that we do not have access to if they cut us off. Not to mention if we don't meet our coverage, there could be fines against us for not complying with the loan terms. Additionally, part of this rate study was because we were a recipient of the water sector grant. Part of that program is we are going to get $4 million forgiven for the grant. And if we don't accept this rate study and put something in place, we will lose that $4 million.
So this is significant financially to the city of Kenner.
Yes.
And may I add, that's just on the finance side. The compliance orders are always
Right.
hanging over your head that you better bring it up to, I guess, their LDEQ standards.
Right, and that's my next line of questioning. If I can have Ms. Joanne Mason come forward. So if this passes tonight and these funds do become available for the city of Kenner, what projects will this mean to the city of Kenner from your perspective?
This will mean lift station upgrades that are needed and having for the older stations, force main collection system repairs, updates to SCADA, GIS, equipment that we do need, TV trucks, trucks to get around to be able to do our jobs, those type of things.
Staffing?
Sludge press, that's not included, staffing's not included in this sewer rate increase, but this would be for also equipment that we would need, like a belt press at the plant that y'all had seen that was down, we had the tube, so those type of things.
And it'll help, I guess, with the loans with I guess it is DEQ. Loans with DEQ for the clarifiers that we
Yes, sir.
desperately need, the 4.
And then for the water sector grant, that $4 million is going to be used for the 4MGD lift station, which takes in all of District 5 and North and South District 4 that discharges to that. That station was built in 1986, and numerous repairs have been made since that time through normal wear and tear, hurricanes, and it desperately needs to be a new station. And that's what they would be doing, building a new station.
Okay. Are there any other major projects you can think of?
Well, the lift stations, those are the major projects.
They are?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's all I have at this time, but I will like to make comment later.
Sure.
Thank you.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. I don't think anybody wants to see increases, and I think that's understandable. I think and some of the things that Councilman Mullen just asked about the DEQ loans, it just, to me, it just doesn't seem like we have any option other than to move forward with this, unfortunately. Again, as the mayor, I think said, or about repairs and reactive instead of being proactive. So this can, as Councilman Brannigan said, has been kicked down the road long enough. And unfortunately, I think it's something we need to move forward with for the betterment of our citizens and the city. So I'll encourage my cohorts up here, my colleagues, to please vote to approve this. Thank you, Council Chair.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yeah, one other thing that is a big deal is these loans, the interest rate is very, very low. How much is
Yeah.
the interest rate,
Correct.
Ms.
So
Sarah?
with LDEQ, you're looking at a 0.95%, something that the city cannot afford to lose. So very low interest.
That's a big deal.
Councilwoman D. Dunn.
Yeah, I was at the meeting last year for the airport, and again, I was at the meeting Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday for the airport. And they brought up that the traffic through the airport, you know, was something like 12 million people, and now that would be raised to 20 million. So I'm asking you, where are we with that? Because that was a big deal when we went to the sewer station also last year. So without this user fee, will we actually be able to, you know, will our system be able to handle this in the condition that it's in now?
No, ma'am.
And Councilwoman, when they do start with the design and plans of any expansion that is large as they talking, I probably won't be sitting in the seat, but I sure hope if someone is still working that we push that airport to have some on-site where they can handle their own sewage instead of pumping it all to the city of Kenner. So that's going to be the main, I guess, one of the main discussions hopefully had by, when you got that big of a complex, they should start treating some of their own stuff.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that, you know, people will actually go to the casino to see the magnitude of that place, and I believe that people are going to be using that casino. So for that reason, that's why I'm concerned about, can we really handle that? Nobody want a rate increase more than the people in my district. But if something happened like the backing up of sewage, they're going to be the first to holler. And I can't blame them, because to me, the backing up of sewage is also something that causes other health issues, and who really wants to deal with that? So, thank you very much. Thank you, Council President. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Councilman Dunn. I do have a question. I saw on the slide, the Hurricane Ida impact on the bond rating, credit rating for the city. Is that cause some type of catalyst with this too, to further exacerbate any type of, I guess, ratings with the DEQ of us obtaining loans or?
Yeah, it shouldn't. There were some damages because of Ida that we are going to be able to claim, but unfortunately, because of the condition that, our plant and system was in, FEMA's not coming in to give us brand new stuff. So it's not going to be major money coming in. I think, at that time they were concerned and came in, and that's why they put us on credit watch. But they were aware even before then that there was a problem. So
Yeah, since I've been in, I try to go back on the agendas, Ms. Masonry, for a while to look at all the emergency repairs we've authorized, and I kind of lost count, and I got someone called me, got sidetracked. It's been a lot. So I know there's a big problem, and you try your best, but we're constantly being reactive here to keep the citizens, with a functioning sewer system, wastewater system for your office, and thank you for the tour we went on. Obviously, with the way inflation is and the cost of insurance going up across, all southeast Louisiana and the southeast, really, we're all cognizant of the fact that family budgets are being impacted, and no one wants to implement a increase. And it's hard to do it now, but I'm going to, just for a broad statement, if we don't approve this, what happens?
yeah, and to not be blunt, but we keep talking about the future and the airport. There will be no future. There will be that's so far down the line. If we don't fix it now to have the correct coverage, we're not going to be able to complete the projects that need to be completed with the current loans we have to even talk about the future. There will be a huge issue.
We can't fix the problems then if we don't approve this.
No.
We have a serious problem with the airport expansion and the use of the treasure chest going up probably trifold with the people going there. So it is a gigantic problem if we don't approve this usage increase. And I think the citizens, someone called me, this is not a tax. This is a usage increase based on how much you use in a house. So as Mayor Glazer said, a retired family, maybe an older family with 2 people there on a fixed budget, might not be as much as a family with a bunch of kids. And I'm not saying it's easier to have a bunch of kids in the house, because believe me, I know how expensive that is. 2 teenage daughters, oh my God. So if we don't approve this increase, and per 10,000 gallons of usage, from I looked at, it's about, was it $5? Am I totally off?
The 10,000 is about $7 bi-monthly, so $7 for 2 months.
Okay,
it's
so
going up.
It is money, it's extra, but it's not gigantic in nature to be shocking. Okay, well, I'm going to be voting for this. I do agree with Councilman Brennan on this problem. I don't see a way out of this. I don't want to implement a usage increase on anyone in Kenner, but if we don't do this, we have a far bigger problem. Anyone else? Councilwoman D. Dunn again.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. And also on the slide, if you notice, we were way down as far as the fees, because I know people in New Orleans pay way, way more than we do. So I just wanted to really add that in.
Yeah, it's a good point. The comparison factors on the map that presented to us were still a lot lower than mostly every other area around here. Orleans definitely, including other states in the union. Any other council? Councilwoman Mott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Getting back to a few other questions. The general fund has a subsidy right now that we're putting out $3.1 million, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Of that $3.1 million, what happens to that if this passes?
Well, hopefully we wouldn't need to transfer it over. That would go back into your fund balance. Things come up throughout the year, so we can distribute it if it's needed. There are some things equipment-wise that they could use right away, and, you know, I'm sure the administration will meet to discuss, you know, what's the best way to use those funds, or if it's to put it back in the fund balance.
And so over a 5-year stretch, what percentage is it going to impact the residents?
Over the total, just the 5 years, it's,
Yep, percentage.
I believe it was a 76%.
That's what I'm showing, 76, which is substantial. In 2010, we had it was 120-something%.
Yeah, I do want to add, the percentages seem scary, and I understand it is an increase. But when we talk about 16% on $5.20, it's 83 cents. So the percentages are there, and it, you know, those big numbers everyone likes to talk about. And it is an increase. I live in Kenner, I understand, I have a family. But it's an 83-cent increase for the rate on July 1st.
Okay, and again, I know we talked about this, generally, why is it coming up now, but why couldn't it come up next year?
Again, we are currently not in compliance with the current loans, and we've spent money that we cannot get back. This has been a year process, so I don't want y'all to think that, you know, they sent this to us in May and we just went with it. We've been working with Manchac for over a year. It's been a lot of back and forths, a lot of meetings, coming up with the best plan, and we feel like this is the best plan.
Okay, and I guess that's why I'm struggling with this legislation, and again, I'm not a fan of fees or taxes or anything of that nature, but then again, especially when we just already had a couple of these things come through the council. Most recently, of course, we put forward on the ballot fire mills to be voted on, and it was passed by the people overwhelmingly. So that was necessary. I think a lot of firefighters are still here today, and they're happy that did pass, and as well as us. It's much needed. It's long overdue. It's been overdue for many, many years. Then we had garbage. That also increased, and that's fallen on the backs of the taxpayers again. So, and I don't think a lot of this stuff is hitting the homes of our residents as of yet, but it's going to have a accumulation effect as well. It's gonna be there, and then here we are again asking for more. I'm just putting this forward. I have no idea at this point in time how I'm going to vote on this. I feel very concerned with it. I don't like it. I think we ought to put it off for a while, is my gut feeling. But at the same time, I understand, you know, especially with the DEQ loans and so forth, those are problematic. How are we right now on the credit watch?
They just moved us back to stable, but with that being said, we had a draft proposal that we provided during that time, so they know a change is coming and they expect it. If we do nothing, I expect our bond rating to drop.
So if this legislation doesn't pass, technically that would be a problem and it would impact our credit rating.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. All due respect, Councilman Molina. I think the presentation that's been made, the comments that have been made, what we've seen since we've been in office or over the last couple of years is the cost of the maintenance for this equipment and the facilities. And I mean, based on everything we've been told, what we've seen, I don't think there's any
Councilman Brannigan? No?
I'm good.
Anybody else? No? Okay, just want to thank y'all for the presentation. Really appreciated you doing that for us. It was very informative, and you take a lot of time to inform us of everything going on, and I know we all do appreciate that from the administration. All right, back to 8D. Motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember Dunn to approve. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Wilmot is opposed. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,546, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,062, adopted on March 17, 2016 by the City of Kenner, Louisiana, entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, more particularly amending sections 5.03 definitions to add a definition for food truck parks and amending section 6.10 subpart B, subpart 3 conditional uses and C-2 commercial to add food truck parts as a conditional use.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember McKinney to open the public hearing. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Plan Director, Mr. Dufour, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
You got something for us?
Please wish your wife a happy birthday. I'll be quick so you can get out of here. And at the mayor's request, I'll be quick. I just want to highlight what we're doing here is we had someone approach us about opening up a food truck park. And so we had no regulations, and so we are now enacting regulations, including a definition for a food truck park and some of the key components. And I'm just going to highlight quickly. Basically, what we're defining as a food truck park is an outdoor business that provides a variety of foods by hosting food trucks on a temporary or permanent basis. Now, this would be different than, say, the Food Truck Festival, where this would be site-specific. Someone would have a site in a commercial, in a C2 zoning district that was large enough, and they would like to have like pretty much a permanent facility for trucks to park and serve meals and stuff. What we're doing is we're setting it up so that the minimum site on a food truck park is 20,000 square feet. The food trucks will be limited to one vendor space per 1,000 square feet of lot. So if they have a 20,000 square foot spot, they can have 20 spots. If they have a 10,000 square or 25,000 square foot lot, they could have 25. But I think we have a maximum is 20. So we're setting up with a maximum of 20 and a minimum of 5 in order to comply. They'll be required to provide one off-street parking spot for every 150 square feet of the total park area, which excludes areas used for parking and landscaping. There will be permanent restrooms and hand washing facilities. There will be no vehicle drive-throughs. All electrical services will be provided through permanent on-site connections underground as well. So there will be no aerial wires and there will be no generators to operate the food truck. And individual, so that's pretty much it. I mean, those are the main components of it. It will be in C2. Now, these also will be set up as a conditional use. So these will not be a by right use. If someone can meet these requirements and comes to us, we would issue them a positive zoning verification, but they would still have to come through the conditional use process, and you would still be required to approve their food truck park.
Okay. The immediate thought I have is Lake Town, if we do more than, so.
No, so this is.
Is it C2, so conditional use would apply there?
Yeah, this would not be
No.
This would not impact Lake Town. Number one, Lake Town would be excluded. So whatever is going on right now that the city approves for the food truck festival and stuff, okay, would be okay. Right now in the city of Kenner, in order to have a food truck legally, you must have an operating brick and mortar restaurant. Mm-hmm. So, we have people coming in all the time wanting to order, trying to bring their food trucks into the Kenner. And so this is a way for a gentleman who approached us to set something up so that some of these food trucks can have a permanent spot We're going to regulate them. We're going to make sure there's parking, landscaping, bathrooms. Like I said, no drive-through, no overhead power lines, no generators, or anything like that.
You know where, what location?
It's on, right, well, the proposal that we had was for veterans. I don't remember exactly between the cross streets, but it's veterans between Williams Boulevard and the Parish, Jefferson Parish line. So I guess going towards like Roosevelt on Veterans.
Okay.
East of Williams Boulevard.
Okay.
Any chance of one of those coming by here in a few minutes and gonna stop?
Not if they don't have, not if they don't represent a brick. There's a ground patty food truck. Maybe you can get ground patty to roll it out here for a council meeting.
Yeah,
Councilwoman Dunn.
thank you, Council President. I want to know, because this is the first time I'm really hearing about it. And you said that they can have a food truck outside of a brick and mortar
No,
business?
so I want to make sure I'm clear.
Please.
If you are currently operating a restaurant, such as the
Okay.
Ground Patty or
Okay.
Genduce's, or any restaurant in the city of Kenner legally operating,
Okay.
you are allowed, I believe you're allowed to have a food truck in the city. I believe that's the regulations, if you have a restaurant. Yeah, yeah. But if you don't own a restaurant, or if you're not operating a restaurant, you would not be permitted to operate a food truck unless you were part of a food truck park, like what is envisioned with this regulation in a commercial C2 zone.
So right now, you can have a food truck on site of a brick and mortar restaurant, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you own a restaurant, you are allowed to have a food truck if it's
On
an
site?
operating restaurant.
On site?
I believe it's on.
Right. Okay, so, but this is different because you're talking about a food truck site.
This is
Okay,
going to be
it's
this
something
would be
different.
a location, a central location, where food truck vendors could contact the property owner, set up a food truck site as part of his site. He would use the utilities provided by the food truck site vendor. He would hook up, and he would be able to operate, cook his food, and sell it to people who came in for lunch, dinner, whenever.
I just have a problem with the brick and mortar, restaurants, because that's a lot of, what's the terminology I'm looking for? That's a lot of competition when you bring into an area, and I think that it will, really have an impact on the brick and mortar companies. I don't know, because this is the first time I've seen it.
Well, we don't have one yet,
like to-
but someone would like to open up one, and so we had no regulation. So we looked around, and Jefferson Parish had some regulations that address food courts. And so we kind of took those and and massaged them a little bit and came up with what we're proposing here, which is,
I don't know, I'm gonna think about that. I don't think about that.
11A. Okay, so does this relate at all to, so you're saying it's on a permanent basis for
well,
someone in
it's-
a
I mean,
C2?
it's as permanent, if someone has property in C2, 20,000 square feet.
And they have a restaurant?
No. Okay. Currently, right now, in the city of Kenner, if you want to operate a food truck, you can only operate a food truck if you're part of a existing brick and mortar restaurant. That's correct, right, Catherine?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you can't. So Joe's Tacos may operate a food truck in Jefferson Parish. If there's no Joe's Tacos operating on Williams or any other location in the city of Kenner, they cannot operate in the city of Kenner.
Councilman, what this does is, so the area that is prospectively could be developed as a food truck park, again, is owned by a single individual, given the specifications of the size and lot. So understand, it's completely separate from permitting a singular food truck. This is a completely different concept. You may be familiar with some of the things that in, say, Seaside, Florida, those small little
okay.
food truck parks. So this would give you the ability to either approve or deny that based on this ordinance and the legislation.
Okay. That makes sense. The Seaside, okay,
Yes.
that makes sense to me what you're saying.
So it is creating a regulation for in the event, say, future people want to come and do development in a C2 commercial corridor, so that they would be able to do it if they meet the specifications delineated in this legislation. And again, it will require your approval.
Okay, so it can't, so approval per
Correct.
Per
Application.
owner.
We're making this a conditional use in the C2.
Okay.
So someone has a site that meets the minimum requirements, they would come to the planning department, provide us all their documentation for an application. It would go to the planning commission, they would make a recommendation, and then it would come to the council for public hearing and approval.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, and that makes me feel a lot better. This wouldn't automatically allow music festivals or anything, loud music off of Williams or...
No, this does anything other than allow individuals who are operating food trucks to come into the city of Kenner, if they don't have a brick and mortar restaurant, and set up in one central location that has adequate parking, restroom and hand washing facilities, and landscaped and everything. Permanent restrooms, not temporary restrooms. So it would have to be a structure that has restrooms for everyone.
But the council would approve anybody that
It's a
wanted to do
conditional
this.
use, so
Okay.
anytime
All
someone
right.
wants to do it, it comes to the council.
That's fine. Ms. Topple, you want to say something?
I just want to add, what Councilwoman Dunn is referring to is our current business licensing regulations, and we're in the process of rewriting those as well regarding those food trucks. So this is kind of coming in with this particular development and a conditional use. That, what Councilwoman Dunn's referring to, is a separate under the business licensing division. It's two separate issues, and we're looking at rewriting that right now.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you for that explanation. Councilwoman Dunn?
yeah, I would just like to have more information and input from the public on this. I mean, this is the first I've seen it, and I would rather.
Well, let me just say this. This is not actually approving a food truck park. This is only approving the regulations that govern an individual that wants to do a food truck park. They would still have to come back to the council. If they made an application to us, it would still come before you for approval.
I mean, I get that, but I need to think about that.
I just want to kind of put this a little more simply. We had Kenner residents who are Kenner business owners approach the planning department about a concept. There is nothing within our regulations that allows this concept to exist. The planning department is coming before you with regulations to potentially move this forward, so then the business would come before you before it was finalized. I happen to personally know these people. They have talked to the surrounding business owners on the property they own, and they agree with them. They had to leave. They were here, but they left because the council meeting was taking too long and they had somewhere else to be. If for some reason you're not comfortable with this, if you want to defer a meeting potentially, and maybe we can make other arrangements, guarantee that they keep their evening wide open, then that would be a possibility. But I just want to make sure everybody is clear. This is just issuing regulations, so if someone were to come to the city with this business concept, they would be allowed to go through a process. We do not have one in place.
Deputy, that makes a lot of sense to me. I may have missed an email. I haven't heard about this yet, probably with the sewer stuff we're dealing with. So many minutes in a day sometimes. So, but if it's based on per, then I don't really have a problem.
No, and anything that any food truck court that would open in the city of Kenner could not open until the council voted to allow it to open.
Okay.
I've never seen a food court.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that makes sense to me now. Councilwoman Dunn?
I've never seen a food court park, so I want more information. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, but.
Mr. Dufour, we're still in public hearing, so I think, let me see if there's anybody that wants to say something
sure,
at the podium, and then we'll call you back if we need to talk to you, if that's okay. All right, Mr. Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Since we're talking about food trucks, one of them operating in that little parking lot right a couple of doors down from Don Jose's Bar and Grill. I don't know if they associated with them or not. We got another one that had the food truck parked in his driveway, blocking up everything, partially out into the street. Code enforcement cited him about 3 or 4 different times, and I think the last time he was supposed to appear in the mayor's court before a magistrate judge. So I don't know whatever became of it. So I just figured since we're talking about food trucks, I just throw that in for y'all. Okay? Anybody got any comments, any questions?
No, thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience before we close the public hearing? All right, motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember Dunn to close the public hearing. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, back to the legislation. Councilman Brannigan.
Basically, what Ms. Newton just said, this is just approving rules to be able to look at a complex if somebody wants to develop one. It's a no-brainer.
I agree. Would love new concepts in Kenner. I'm always for exciting new things. So, anybody else in the council? All right. I think we're ready to vote, Mr. Dufour. Thank you for the good presentation, as always. Motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember. I'm sorry. I'm reading the top. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a long night. Back to 11A. Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Dunn is opposed. Item 11B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,547, an ordinance amending the Kenner Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, Unified Development Code, Article 11, Section 11.04, permanent signs, and to provide for related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Schwartz to open the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter? If you do, please go after Mr. Dufour. Has another presentation?
Yes, I do. Just
all right,
very
let's go.
briefly. So this is addressing billboards in the city of Kenner. What we're doing with this amendment is we're changing the regulations that address general advertising signs, so that if someone wants to place a general advertising sign in the city of Kenner now, the onus is on the planning department to review the spatial location of their billboard to make sure that it does not fall closer than 1,000 feet from an existing billboard and less than 500 feet from a residentially zoned or used property and a public park or playground of more than 1 acre. All the other regulations basically are staying the same. And so what will happen is, did you ever?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. What will happen is if someone decides they want to put a billboard in the city of Kenner, they would come to the planning department, and we would take their request and we would review it, and then we'd issue them a determination that says, yes, your billboard it meets the requirements and you may now submit an application, or no, your billboard does not meet these requirements and we will not accept an application. And so that when a billboard comes to the city council for approval, it will have already been vetted for the distance requirements, to really the critical spacing for existing billboards and for residential property.
So what's the current process? It doesn't come before the planning board?
Well, the current process is our regulations state, the very first thing in the general advertising regulations state that no billboard can be placed within 1,000 feet of an existing billboard. Okay. And then under the second part of the regulation, number 2, is where it says the council can approve billboards that meet the following criteria. And so there's been some ambiguity, or it's been suggested that there's been some ambiguity in those regulations. And so what we're doing now is basically making it so that you can't bring an application for a billboard to the city of Kenner if it's not legal. If it doesn't, if it's less than 1,000 feet from an existing billboard, and it's less than 500 feet from existing residentially used or zoned property or a public park or playground of 1 acre, we're not going to accept your application.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
basically,
Okay.
which is how we operated for a while until the previous administration said we could not operate like that. Previously, during the, so what we're doing is we're making it much easier for people to understand, like, the regulations. They come to the planning department for a zoning, just as if someone would go to permit department with their plans to seek a permit. If they don't meet the plans, they don't get a permit. So in our case, if they don't meet those requirements, they don't bring the case to the, we will not take their application for a billboard.
Madam City Attorney, this complies with everything legal?
Yes, we're just cleaning up the language and taking out any.
That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay.
Taking
That's
out
what I was trying to get to.
Taking out any questions of, can we squeeze it in, can you?
Wendell explains things.
Yeah, it's all.
Like this. Just needed
Really,
that answer.
yes. Just
No,
clean-
I love your explanations, by the way.
Cleaned it
Well,
up. We believe it says the same thing it said before.
Okay.
with just more clarity.
That's fine with me then. Thank you. Any other questions for Wendell? Anybody in council? We're still in public hearing. If there's anybody in the public who wishes to address the council on this matter, please come up now. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Schwartz to close the public hearing. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0 to
Back
close
to
your
the
hearing.
approval. Any other discussion? Seeing none, motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Schwartz to approve. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Thanks, Wendell.
Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the City of Kenner wastewater utility rate study dated May 2024, prepared for the Louisiana Division of Administration to satisfy the cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Kenner and the Louisiana Division of Administration for the Water Sector Program Grant and providing for related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Brennan. Anyone wishing to speak on this item?
That was the study we just referred to.
Okay. No. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution making an application to the State Bond Commission for consent and authority to issue, sell, and deliver limited tax bonds of the City of Kenner, State of Louisiana, in the total aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $7 million, setting forth the security therefore, and the purposes for which the proceeds of said bonds will be used, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember McKinney. Anyone wishing to speak on 13B? Councilman Brannigan.
What is the $7 million for?
This is the construction of the fire station on Duke Street.
Okay.
This is the first step in going to the bond commission. I would be the first one to tell you, I think they meet in July. If approved, we get money, and we have someone here from our bond council could probably answer pointed questions on time frame or something like that.
You can come to the podium, please. Thank you for coming tonight, sir. Please state your name for us.
Bill Becknell with the Becknell Law Firm, 3445 North Causeway Boulevard in Metairie.
Okay.
I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this money, these bonds will be used to build that fire station, and when would the money be available?
Well, actually, Councilman, we're taking you all are taking the 18.2 mills that were approved last year by election, and bonding that money now in a bond issue up to $7 million. And the proposal actually calls for the money, up to $7 million to be spent for building the fire station, but also the money can be used for improving, equipping, maintaining, so various other things that the fire department requires, not just building the fire station, although that may take up, I don't know the cost of that one item, but if there's more extra money in the $7 million or up to $7 million, it can be used for other fire department related issues.
Okay.
I think the going rate is around $6 million for construction of that. So that's today, in 3 months, it may be a little different.
Be
but
6.5
yes,
million.
yes. And with that said, we also need to build another fire station, because when the one at City Hall is torn down sooner than later, and it's relocated north on Williams, it's pretty much going to be our next challenge, is the design of that, and then, securing the monies to build it.
And Councilman, as the mayor said, well, the bond commission meets once a month, and so this resolution only authorizes filing an application. We would come, if the bond commission approves your application, we're still going to come back with you with ordinances before you issue the debt.
Thank you, Mr. Pecknell.
Thank you.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you answered my question. This is for Station 38 on Dune Street, and that considered the one at 35 at 18 Williams. That will have to do another bond for that one as well, correct?
Probably another bond later, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Just to borrow the money at a lower interest rate, yes.
Just about back now. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
If I could just add, so we're scheduled to close on the bond in September, just so we're clear. So it's a bit of a process. It'll go to bond commission, and then we're looking to close middle of September.
Thank you, Ms. Herron. Public comment. Al, you want to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. I'd just like to, for you all to refresh my memory how much we was compensated for when they tore down the volunteer fire station that was on the corner right there, Veterans and Loyola Drive. I know we was compensated, and I also know that we paid $1.5 million for the 5 properties where the firehouse was supposed to be built, when 5 properties, all total, was appraised for $236,000. We took that up back then, but I'm just commenting on what took place when this whole thing started. So I'd like to know what exactly the amount was that we were compensated for when that firehouse was torn down to make room for the airport expansion and the flyover.
I know Elizabeth is looking, but if I recall correctly, 3.2 million maybe. I think there's a little under 780 left in that account, because it was the purchase of the land, the surcharging, and all that, that
I know
stuff,
we paid-
and the design of the firehouse itself. So,
Thank you, man. And I know we paid that $1.5 million, like I just said. 5 properties was appraised for $236,000 back in 2016. But anyway, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. And I know we had to prep the property and everything else. All that cost was cost involved. But $700-something and then we got, what, $3.5 million. So that's a lot of money. Anybody got any comments, any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. All right, back to the vote. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,554, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 12,507 and accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Crescent City Tree LLC to provide tree work on an as-needed basis in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6811 in an amount not to exceed $300,000 annually for the Public Works Department.
Got a motion by Councilmember Schwartz, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Anyone wishing to speak on 15A? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,555, an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement with U.S. Copy Incorporated through U.S. Bank Equipment Finance and an amount not to exceed $49,500 annually for photocopy/fax/printing equipment, maintenance, parts, labor, and supplies for a term of 3 years for all City of Kenner departments.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Dunn. Anyone wishing to speak on 15B? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,556. An ordinance approving renewal number 1 to the agreement with Dom Development Corporation for carpentry services, labor only, for hurricane restoration, extending the agreement 1 additional year and increasing the agreement amount by $200,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $400,000 for the Department of General Services.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Lahat. Anyone wishing to speak on 15C? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,557. An ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish Contract Number 55-21312 with Trantex Transportation Products of Texas Incorporated for traffic safety supplies on an as-needed basis for the General Services Department.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember Brennan. Anyone wishing to speak on 15D? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,558. An ordinance approving change order number 1 final to the agreement with Fleming Construction Company LLC dated May 15, 2023 for the relocation of sewer line at 99 Airline Drive, Lot L1 for a decrease of $3,150 and to accept the completion of the project as constructed for the Department of Wastewater.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Schwartz. Anyone wishing to speak on 15E? Mr. Almarella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. This is the kind of change orders I like, where we got a decrease. That's all I wanted to comment on. Thank you.
I like that too. All right, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 13,559. An ordinance approving change order number 1 to the construction agreement with M.R. Pittman Group LLC dated October 20th, 2023 regarding the City of Kenner WWTP number 3 clarifiers 1 through 4 rehabilitation project, decreasing the agreement amount by $230,448.94 and increasing the agreement time by 100 calendar days for the Department of Wastewater.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember Wilmot. Anyone wishing to speak on 15F? Councilwoman McKinney.
Yes, I just want to have clarification on, I guess, I'm happy it's decreasing, but I'm curious as to how it's decreasing and how it actually got longer, if you can explain that.
The decrease is because the city allowed the contractor to be an agent of the city to receive the city's tax exempt status. So this was the elimination of taxes for this. And the 100 days is because of the electrical control panel, the manufacturing of it.
Okay,
So
great.
that's what they had to add.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you, Ms. Masonry. Anybody else? Masoni, I'm sorry. I do that every time. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 13,560. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Delta Fire and Safety Incorporated for 7 Seek Attack Pro plus thermal cameras with charging stations in accordance with letter bid 24-2124 in an amount not to exceed $23,520.91 for the Kenner Fire Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Wishing to speak on this item? Wasn't this the one, Brian, Councilman Brennan, that we helped fund?
Yes.
Okay, so these were all councilmanic funds?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. So that's something you said earlier, that we shifted money over to buy the thermal cameras? Well, we used. Sorry.
We allocated.
I'm hungry. Oh, I know. Anyone else? All right. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 13,561. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from S&R Louisiana LLC doing business as Precision Door Service for repairing fire station number 39 garage door in accordance with letter bid 24-2112 and an amount not to exceed $5,137.99 for the Kenner Fire Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Schwartz. Anyone wishing to speak on 15H? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15I is summary ordinance number 13,562, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 3 Lucas 3 version 3.1 chest compression systems, including accessories from Stryker Medical, a sole source provider, in the amount of $70,186.77 for the Kenner Fire Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Anyone wishing to speak on 15I? Mr. Hotard.
I'll keep it quick.
Come on
Matt
up.
Hotard, District 5. I just want to do this in one shot. I wanted to say thank you for the thermal cameras and thank you for the Lucas. Both of these things allow us to do our job more efficiently and better and safer, and it allows us to help the citizens of Kenner. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate
Absolutely. And those were councilmanic funds again. And Brian does a good job at finding things like this to have ideas. You've done it several times since I've been in this spot. You know, I really appreciate you reaching out with these ideas that sometimes newer guys like me don't think of. So thank you so much, and do appreciate it. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15J is summary ordinance number 13,563, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility proposal received from Lamarck Ford to furnish 2 2020 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles in the amount of $52,172 for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Brennan. Anyone wishing to speak on 15J? Councilman Schwartz.
One is 36 and one is 25.
What fund? Councilman Wilmot.
Yeah, Chief, whose funds, yours or ours?
Well, they're all ours, but they're mine. Yeah.
Okay.
And just to go back to Councilman Schwartz, there are 2 2020 Crown Vics. One's got 14,000 miles, one's got 22. I'm not Crown Vics, Interceptors. Like I say, it's hard to get vehicles these days. Those 2 came available. We put out a proposal to other dealerships. The closest you can get was 40,000, 50,000 miles. So these things are already equipped, outfitted, because once we get a new Interceptor, it costs $52,000 just to get it on the road with the cages and the buddy bumpers, or the push bumpers and all the equipment, the mounts, the consoles. So these will be ready to hit the road. They were turned in off a lease, I imagine, from a smaller department. They have such small mileage. Our friends at Mark reached out to us. We put it out to several dealerships. Nobody could come close. So we're getting 2 cars for what it would cost to outfit one, or, for one.
Great.
Good job. Thank you, Chief.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15K is summary ordinance number 13,564, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Installation Technologies Incorporated for the demolition and removal of the 2-story concession stand at Green Lawn Playground in accordance with letter bid number 24-2125, and an amount not to exceed $19,680 for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion by Councilmember Schwartz, second by Councilmember McKinney. Anyone wishing to speak on 15K? Councilman Schwartz.
All right, this one here is final. We got everything taken care of with the insurance, and it's the building going to come down.
We hope. We hope.
All right. Anybody else? Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance approving an agreement with Digicom Systems Incorporated for maintenance and support for the DigiCourt paperless court system and AMS DigiCourt collection module, and an amount not to exceed $34,100 for the clerk of court. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from New Orleans Dent Repair Incorporated for automotive body damage repairs in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6831, and an amount not to exceed $150,000 annually for the Department of Fleet Management and Police Department. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from KMT Painting and Decorating LLC for interior repairs at the Pontchartrain Convention and Civic Center in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6812, and an amount not to exceed $1,580,000 for the General Services Department. Item 16D is an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a donation for the purchase of a new planetarium show from Reef Distribution GmbH, a sole source provider for the Rivertown Planetarium. Item 16E is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Sorrento Lumber Company Incorporated to supply building materials as needed in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6836 and an amount not to exceed $100,000 annually for the General Services Department. Item 16F is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Cajun Foam Insulation LLC at Fire Station number 37 in accordance with letter bid 24-2126 and an amount not to exceed $9,850 for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16G is an ordinance approving an agreement with Capital City Press LLC for the 2024-2025 recruiting campaign and an amount not to exceed $120,000 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16H is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of ballistic protective vests and related accessories from RG Beck AZ Incorporated, doing business as TYR Tactical LLC, a sole source provider, and an amount not to exceed $70,000 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16I is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Han Enterprises Incorporated to furnish and install fitness equipment at Rosemary Minor Park in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6834 and an amount not to exceed $73,220 for the Parks and Recreation Department. Item 16J is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility received from Han Enterprises Incorporated to furnish and install fitness equipment at Betsy B. Hammond Park in accordance with sealed bid number 24-6835 and an amount not to exceed $78,527 for the Parks and Recreation Department. Item 16K is an ordinance ratifying an emergency replacement of two 5 HP Gorman Rupp pumps at the Grand Lake and Caddo Lift Station by Delta Process Equipment in the amount of $24,348 for the wastewater department. Item 16L is an ordinance approving an agreement with Gulf South Engineering and Testing Incorporated to provide testing services associated with the wastewater treatment plant number 3, WWTP number 3, clarifiers 1 through 4 rehabilitation project, and an amount not to exceed $10,000 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16M is an ordinance ratifying an emergency repairs of the Baldor floating aerator for digester 2A and 2B at the wastewater treatment plant by Precision PSI LLC, a sole source provider, in the amount of $14,412.82 for the wastewater department. Item 16N is an ordinance authorizing the utilization of existing state contract number 4400021682 with ODP Business Solutions LLC, FKA Office Depot Business Solutions LLC to provide to purchase office supplies and other related matters on an as-needed basis not to exceed $125,000 annually for the Department of Finance. Item 16O is an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Department of the Treasury and the City of Kenner for the construction of an exterior restroom facility at Buddy Lawson Playground. Item 16P is an ordinance approving the use of the state contract number 4400026321 with ARCO Company Services Incorporated to purchase a replacement 600 kilowatt generator and related accessories in an amount not to exceed $140,000 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16Q is an ordinance accepting the quote received from Control Systems Incorporated to purchase electrical controllers in the amount of $6,204 for the wastewater department. Item 16R is an ordinance ratifying an emergency repair of the Fairbanks Moore submersible pump number 2 located at 27th and Dawson Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $21,900 for the wastewater department. Item 16S is an ordinance approving an agreement with Professional Services and Industries Incorporated for environmental services in an amount not to exceed $11,625 for the wastewater department. Item 16T is an ordinance authorizing the use of the State of Louisiana contract number 4400020928 with United Rentals North America Incorporated for rental of industrial equipment on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $400,000 annually for the wastewater department. Item 16U is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances regarding the display of signs and to provide for related matters. Item 16V is an ordinance revoking the dedication of the 15-foot alley and square 461 Highway Park subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, bounded by West Napoleon Avenue, formerly 23rd Street on the north, 22nd Street on the south, Connecticut Avenue on the east, and unimproved Colorado Avenue on the west, as shown on the attached survey by ZS Consultants Incorporated, dated November 21st, 2023, which said property is owned by the City of Kenner. Item 16W is an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of lots 14 through 24, Lot 32A and 34A, and the 7.5 portion of the revoked alley in Square 461 that abuts the aforementioned property, Square 461 Highway Park subdivision, into lots W1-A, X-2-B, and Y-3-C, Square 461 Highway Park subdivision, Kenner, Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, and amending ordinance number 11,062 entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, amending and rezoning lots W-1-A, X-2-B, and Y-3-C, Square 461 Highway Park subdivision from RR1 Single Family Residential to SI Special Industrial, and directing, authorizing, and empowering the planning director for the City of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the City of Kenner, Louisiana, which property is owned by Scardino LLC. Item 16X is an ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Kenner City Code of Ordinances to provide for the operation of golf carts on Kenner City streets. Item 16Y is an ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to provide for registration provisions. Item 16Z is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid in accordance with bid number 24-6838 to remove, furnish, and install a splash pad in an amount not to exceed $225,000 for the Recreation Department. Item 16AA is an ordinance ratifying the proposal for casualty package insurance for the City of Kenner, period of July 1st, 2024 through July 1st, 2025. Item 16BB is an ordinance ratifying the proposal for excess workers' compensation insurance for the period of July 1st, 2024 through July 1st, 2025.
Natalie, I went to the bathroom. Can you start back on 16H?
I cannot.
28 of them. That's pretty good.
I
And
know,
didn't
right?
miss a word.
Woo.
Are we finished?
All right, thank you. Item 17 is reports from the council and or special committees.
Councilman Brennan?
As follow-up to the recent Kenner police officers that were injured in the Kenner Police Wives Association, in conjunction with LEASE in Kenner, is having a dine and donate on June 18th, 19th, and 20th. It'll be for lunch and dinner, and there'll be a coupon that needs to be printed and presented at the restaurant when you pay the bill. And what will happen is a certain percentage of the sales on those 3 days will be donated to the Kenner Police Wives Association. So if you need any information on it, you can feel free to call me or reach out to my office. We have a website, pardon me, and you can email the KPSA and ask for that flyer, and they'll send it to you. Again, it's pardon me, the dates are the 18th, 19th, and 20th. Again, it's lunch and dinner, and their email address is kpsa70062@gmail.com. And they will take that money and use it as they need to for not only the wounded officers, but any other police officers as necessary. Thank you.
Anybody else? I want to take one opportunity to commend Chief Conley for all the work you're doing with the fake license plates. And I know you're really sticking your neck out there for us with the news coverage we're getting on this and the illegal people on the road causing the insurance rates to skyrocket. And thanks so much for being proactive on that. I get a lot of complaints about that, just various parts of the city and in Jefferson Parish too. I know it's a problem everywhere, but it seems like you're one of the guys in the forefront of it. You and then of course Arita Bohannon's doing something with that too in Jefferson. But that's one of the best things I'm seeing right now in terms of proactive police work and my neighborhood and my whole district loves it, so please keep it up. Anybody else? Okay, Madam Clerk. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Schwartz, you did tell me. I apologize. Go ahead.
Gee, I feel like a redhead stepchild here. I want to thank Nazir Ali, operator of the Comfort Inn on Veterans Highway, that donated 2 vests, bulletproof vests, to the police department. And thank him. And Chief, you got something for free.
That's right, no, and we do appreciate him stepping up and doing that for us. So we thank him also.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Okay, Matt Hotard, you're up. 3 minutes.
Got it. Hello again. Look, it's never an easy thing to get up here and address this council, you know, the mayor, his staff. It's also never easy when you are going to say something that you feel isn't going to be, you know, a warm welcome when you say it. The whole point of us getting up here and speaking, especially today, was because it did have to do with the budget. And I hope that everyone understands that. I would also be a hypocrite if I didn't get up here, and it's hard to fit everything in 3 minutes when you're trying to speak about so many things. But to let everyone here know that we 100% see you. We know what this administration and what this council has done for this fire department in a very short period of time. You're 100% correct. And if I didn't acknowledge that, then I wouldn't be able to get up here and speak the way that I'm speaking without being truthful. So I want to say thank you for that. But I also want to let you know, and the mayor know, that this is, the whole reason that we're doing this is to try to be proactive. Because we do not want to be in this position, and we do not want to be in this position again. And that is the truth. And so if our words are, you know, are not popular, then I do understand that. But the whole reason we're saying these things, when I'm saying them, when we're saying them, because it did have to do with the budget, but also we do not want to be in any other issues down the line. We would like this to go smoothly. Believe me, this is something that we would want more than anything. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hotard. Next up, Mr. Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. To reiterate what the mayor was talking about at the beginning of the meeting, I want to talk about April 28, 1945, an operation called Exercise Tiger. It was the rehearsal for the D-Day for the Normandy landing. Then went all wrong. Lack of breakdown in communications, 1,000 men were killed on the beaches, similar to the beaches in Normandy in England. And due to, like I said, miscommunication, some of them were killed by friendly fire, and it went terribly wrong. They don't talk about it. They couldn't talk about it at the time because they didn't want to give away the Normandy landing. And during that rehearsal, 2 of our LSTs were sunk. A lot of men were burned to death in the process, mostly all Americans. Okay. Having said that, at the last meeting, there was some discussion about our charter, about Section 305 and Section 307 concerning the absence of the mayor. First of all, those 2 sections is filled with ambiguity. And not only that, it's open for interpretation, and I'm going to tell you why. 33 years ago, it was interpreted by the then council that the mayor was absent and 3 councilmen. It was all orchestrated and interpreted to play the game of musical chairs. Their interpretation 33 years ago, and the only thing that changed, was to allow district councilmen to serve as council president, which I disagree with still to this day, and oppose at the polls. Now, so their interpretation 33 years ago, nothing has changed other than what I just said, was just the opposite of yours. So I want to see a referendum put on the ballot, a 2-part one. Number 1, to give clarity on 305 and 307, and to also put the second part of that referendum to go back and restrict the council president strictly to the 2 council at large, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when a district councilman has that gavel and something happens to the mayor, he has to come down and become acting mayor. The mayor has no vote. So the district that that councilman represents, they got no vote because the chair is empty, because their councilman has to serve as mayor. Now, I want to direct this to you, Chief. Once again, May 9th, Kenner Housing Authority, no officer. Now, I want to ask you this question. Do you assign an officer for the Chateau State Civic Organization when they have their meetings? Do you assign an officer for the Chateau Country Club when they have their meetings over there? Well, we need that officer at that table. We need him there. Okay? So I would appreciate it if you
Mr.
could
Morella,
get him that.
thank you so much for coming tonight.
Every
Your
time he's
time's
not
up.
there, I'm going to bring it up.
Mr. Greg Teff, you're up next. Is Greg still here? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank y'all for coming.